Hey folks, Kilt-Man. No, that's blasphemy. Hey folks, my name is Florian Schafer. I'm the writer and director of the short film Johnny Lonesome. I'm a big fan of Kilt-Man's YouTube channel. Many thanks, Chris, for your so very kind and unique content, especially during the first hardcore COVID lockdown. Very much appreciated. Your words really made a difference. As a fan of your channel, I know one thing, which is Kilt-Man's taste in movies. And a lot of those films also happen to be my favorites. So I'm very curious to see what Kilt-Man takes away from my little short film, the little film references. Do you get them as well? The film was made in Germany, it's in German, but has very little dialogue, which is of course subtitled. Cheers. Hey folks, Kilt-Man. No, that's blasphemy. Hey folks, my name is Florian Schafer. I'm the writer and director of the short film Johnny Lonesome. I'm a big fan of Kilt-Man's YouTube channel. Many thanks, Chris, for your so very kind and unique content, especially during the first hardcore COVID lockdown. Very much appreciated. Your words really made a difference. As a fan of your channel, I know one thing, which is Kilt-Man's taste in movies. And a lot of those films also happen to be my favorites. So I'm very curious to see what Kilt-Man takes away from my little short film, the little film references. Do you get them as well? The film was made in Germany, it's in German, but has very little dialogue, which is of course subtitled. Cheers.
Who was that? Hey, who was that? That was my mate Florian Schafer. Cheers, Florian. Look, mine's a wee bit bigger than yours. That was my mate Florian Schafer. A guy who's so creative, talented, gifted that, I have to resort to drink just to talk about him, to get myself over my own inadequacies. No, some very kind words there, much appreciated. And also, I'm now going to sing this guy's praises after a swig of this first. As he said there, he's made a short film, and I've got it. It's there. There's the Blu-ray of it. And it's called Johnny Lonesome. And it is a very short movie, only 11 minutes long. And it is a blackly comic horror drama with lots and lots of movie and Western references in it. It's a German film. Florian is German, and it's subtitled. There isn't much dialogue in the movie itself, but the dialogue, if you watch it on YouTube, and I'm going to put the link to it on YouTube, and also the link to his little making of documentary. I'll put both links in. English subtitles will come up on that. Now, actually, there isn't much dialogue in it, but you do need to have the subtitles because certain plot elements and developments are kind of, you have to know what's going on, and it'll be vocal, So what is it then? What is this movie? Well, Florian's a massive lover of the same sort of movies that we're all into. Genre movies, horror, suspense, action, westerns, supernatural. And in a way, a lot of these conspire to make this little movie. And this little movie, before I go into it, has won awards. This movie, right away, it came out in 2022, so just a year ago now. It was at the Kinderwelt Worms premiere, the 27th of March last year, 2022. The Holly Worms, he lives in a town called Worms. The Holly Worms Short Film Festival, it was the official selection for that. For the Blackwood Films Festival, it was also the official selection for that. And that's in Freiburg. Freiburg, you say, Kilt-Man? Freiburg is also the setting of the Tanz Dance Academy for Dario Argento's Suspiria. More on that. And it was a finalist in the First Time Filmmakers Sessions for Short Films in London. So it's done well. It's been recognised already as being quite an interesting, intriguing, different, kind of alternative, kind of bit weird, sort of horror drama with blackly comic sort of overtones of psychology and maybe obsession and depression. You're now hearing Florian's actual score to the movie itself, because Florian not only directed it, produced it, wrote it, edited it, filmed it, he did the score for it as well. A jack of all trades. Now, before I go into as much as I can say about the film, I want to just say what a testament to someone's creativity that they could get a film off the ground in the first place. Now, with a background in digital media, a massive interest in photography, Florian he was going to make movies, and he's going to make more movies beyond this, without a shadow of a doubt. But to get it off the ground, to find funding, to find people who are going to help you make this, to find time to shoot it, you know, how many great movie makers started off doing little short movies? The likes of Tobe Hooper, George Romero, John Carpenter, David Cronenberg, Sam Raimi. All of these films, these little fledgling movies that they made, got bigger, got them recognised, got funding, got people who could bankroll them and help them to produce bigger and better movies and move on within the industry. And this is what Florian needs. And on the basis of this, he's already got an eye for cinematography. He's got that eye that we love for making references to other movies, other genre movies. And everybody that makes a movie or writes a book or creates a play or writes a piece of music, everybody is copying something that someone else has done. There's only, what is it? Is it 7 or is it even only 5 storylines you can tell? And everything else is an offshoot of those. But there's 1,000,001 offshoots that you can come up with. But you're always there's always someone who came before you that had that idea. So people now, you can't help but draw from that seedbed, that very fertile seedbed of imagination and creativity that's gone before, and then make your own stuff. It's called evolution, folks. So, what is Johnny Lonesome? Well, it's Johnny Lonesome. Johnny is a guy he's a German guy, young guy, troubled guy, with a fixation on westerns. He wears a Stetson, he has cowboy boots, he's got the little, the proper, the little cowpoke tie and all that. He's lost his mother. He works in a second-hand car dealership, and he's lost his mother. There's no other person in his life, seemingly, apart from a friend who we do meet, and he will go into the apartment, the house where his mother lived, and he's not dealing with it too well. He'll keep going back to work, but we don't see him sell any cars. We'll see him strut around in his cowboy boots, and he'll draw the car keys, quick draw, and open up the car, and he'll wear his Stetson and all that. But then he'll go back to his mother's old place, and she's died, and we do see her being wrapped into a body bag at the very start of the movie, and straight away things begin to get a bit strange for our Johnny, and there's ghostly voices, there's things happening in this place. He will stay away from work, and he's dealing with this, the calamitous loss of a parent, something I know all too much about, having lost my father and then my mother last year. And I could draw a lot of parallels actually with this kind of strange limbo land that he's in, and also his fixation with westerns. And things derail even further. His mental deterioration might not just be the fact that he's depressed. There's something else taking place, and he might be getting warnings from someone from beyond the grave. But will he heed those warnings? Will destiny repeat itself? Well, you'll have to watch the film to find out. But this is a film where I was challenged, literally, by Florian to, there's a few references there, but there's many, many more that, you can probably pick out. So you throw down the gauntlet to someone like me, I'm like, oh my God. Oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to find? And you start looking and analysing every bit of the frame and all that. Now, the Western angle, as he told me, he said, Western's very big in Germany. Although Germany's not known for gunfighting with, at the OK Corral and chasing Indians, off your settlements. Nothing like that at all. But they loved the Westerns. And I know for a fact that Germany produced many, many Westerns. Not spaghetti Westerns, although there were some collaborations, but what they call Euro Westerns. You had the spaghettis, you had the paellas, but Germany bankrolled and produced many, many Westerns in the 60s. And they were based off a lot of German books. You had J.F. Unger and you had Karl May. Both wrote enormous amounts of best-selling Western novels. And especially Karl May's place, his stuff was massive. Loads of films got made out of his stuff. And he would write the screenplays as well. And you'll know a lot of them. They've got amazing titles, and they're very sort of florid, crazy, chaotic Westerns, as you expect Euro Westerns to be. But J.F. Unger, his books will appear in this movie. And the boss, who you don't see, our boy Johnny, Lonesome Johnny, at some point starts just staying in the house and he's not going to work. So we'll get a phone call from his boss, who's called Mr. Unger. So it's J.F. Unger, And so you got that reference there. But there's a lot of references to beyond the West. You've got John Wayne. Let's go back to the West. And you've got John Wayne. There's a painting of John Wayne on the wall. Big picture of John Wayne, the Duke. And, you can tell that he idolises him. And there's a big TV screen which seems to be forever showing a gorgeous sort of maybe American, it looks American landscape, very colourful, very, a huge vista, and a big train going past with smoke billowing out of it. And it's either in the background. Now I know there's something symbolic about that, and I don't know what it is. He's there now going, oh, Kilt-Man, it's obvious. But I don't know. You have a thing with patterns, possession, obsession with the past and ghostly stuff coming back to haunt you, and the history repeating itself, which is The Shining. The thing about patterns, you'll see that the decor of the house itself, the cinematography is immaculate, the framing, the composition of the things around the apartment, and filming in the streets outside, and filming of the used car dealership. He uses a camera on a massive pole, I think it is. Not a crane, but on a pole, which I think caused a few problems for you as well. And he frames the sort of an oval of this car dealership, which evokes the horse training courtyard for a few dollars more, the final showdown, and of course the big old cemetery at the end of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. It also in a way reminded me of the film Rollerball, some of which was filmed over in Germany as well. And so he set me loose on doing this, trying to find these references. And as you saw, he's inviting you all to find other references. And he's probably peppered, every single scene with stuff. And so I was really on the lookout. And there's many, many more. But I've got to give, massive kudos to the central performance by, hold on a minute, Cedric Cavatore. Yeah, I know most of us will not have heard of this guy. But he has acted before. He's done Shakespearean stuff as well. And he looks like a cross between Woody Harrelson, who's played cowboys before, And also the UK's own, what's his name? Will Mellor. Will Mellor. And especially during the opening sort of scene where you meet him, and he's strutting his way between all the cars in the dealership, you know, in his cowboy boots, and you're hearing the crunching of the heels on the gravel and all that. And he's doing this with the car keys, whoosh, you know, and then just like shooing the air, you know. He looks just like Woody Harrelson in those scenes. And he's also our main character, Johnny. His name's Johnny, what is it? Vinart, something like that. But as Florian said quite distinctively, you know, his name's Johannes, but we call him Johnny. And if you said his name quickly, it basically becomes John Wayne, you know, which is a nice touch. If you say it in English, and you do it in the English version, and say it fast, it's John Wayne. So that's kind of cool. But he has a failing, a weakness. He's clearly asthmatic. He has an inhaler. So even though he's looking cool, this Stetson on and in his snappy suit, looking a bit like, I don't know, something out of a Tarantino movie. And there's a few Tarantino references. But there he is, looking uber cool, the modern day cowboy. And then reaches in his pocket, pulls out the inhaler. So you've got a fallibility to this poor guy now. But as it progresses, and you'll see that inhaler a couple of times, it'll play a huge part as well. It becomes something other than just an inhaler. Given the sort of his cowboy fixation, that's his tin star. He might not wear it on the front; it's in his inside pocket. But it's not afraid of it. It's like shh, shh. The tin star getting brushed off. Yeah, I'm the law around here, you know. But it's also becomes like Van Helsing's crucifix. He needs it as well. That's his safeguard. He's going to need that. He's going to need it at a very pivotal moment. Another pivotal moment coming up right now. A wee whiskey break. You're hearing some of the score to The Evil Dead, which is also behind me there. And there is many references to The Evil Dead. There is some hand play. Very similar to the possessed hand of Ash dragging Ash's body, unconscious body, across the floor. There's a very big pointy finger as well. The thing with the hand as well, and again, because you challenged me to look for these things, I found things that probably aren't even there. But with the context of trying to, you know, I want more life, I want to live, and what it's reaching for, this hand, I thought of Blade Runner, you know. I thought of Rutger Hauer, you know. I want more life, fucker, you know. And the way he holds out his hand to save Deckard, Harrison Ford at the end, and the way his hand shapes to grab him, similar to that. Also, that hand element will result in an accusatory finger pointing, which is brilliantly done, and love that. So you've got The Evil Dead, you've got potentially Blade Runner there as well. I mentioned Suspiria and Dario Argento. There's haunting voices, again that's Evil Dead, and scratchy weird noises on the sound design. But the colour scheme of a central element to this is very Suspiria, and the whole thing about Freiberg, and well, I know it's not set in Freiberg, but there's a Freiberg feel to this, and I mean, where he's living could almost be just down the road. For the Tanz Dance Academy is just up the road there, but the rain's held off for a bit, and he lives down the road in his mum's old gaff. And there is a very, very central element to this of bodily possession, and but it's not what you think. Don't go think thinking head spinning stuff from The Exorcist. It's think Suspiria, but think the remake of Suspiria, and a very pivotal, or not pivotal, but excruciating sequence. I think fairly early on, actually, of someone having to dance. Now, this element is again blackly comic because the dance in this becomes a sort of line dance, but he's not wanting to do it. He's drawn into it, and it becomes life and death, you know, and it becomes frightening. It's comedic. It's also like Riley sort of, you know, he's a cowboy, so he's going to be line dancing, isn't he? But it's a lethal game that's being played. Now, that also reminded me of Ridley Scott's Legend and the deleted scene of what's his name, Tom Cruise playing, you know, the wild thing Jack, and the fairy folk don't really trust Jack, so they've got to try and, you know, he's got to prove something to them. But they cast a spell in the deleted scene. They cast a spell on him. He's got to dance and dance until he dies, which is a medieval thing. There was a thing in the medieval times where people became stricken with this sort of malaise, where they would dance themselves to death. They would dance themselves into oblivion. Of course, you'd see this evoked more sort of overtly yet surreally with The Seventh Sign, Ingmar Bergman. People are literally dancing off to death, you know, following death to their own oblivion. And Jack in Legend was meant to go through this and then be saved at the last minute, because he's pledging his love for, you know, the girl who screwed everything up in this fairyland and brought darkness into the realm and goblins. And but it reminded me of that a lot. Suspiria, dance, that, Seventh Seal. So a lot of these things are all playing in there. And in the duration of a film that's only 11 minutes long, got all this. You've got other characters as well. You've got a friend of his, I think it's called Martin, who comes round. Now, Martin delivers the post, but every time Martin comes round, Johannes, Johnny, our Johnny, just opens the shutters on the window and just stands there. And poor old Martin's going like, look, we want to go fishing. Do you want to come fishing? I haven't been fishing for ages. Johnny, are you all right? And, oh, okay, well, if you don't do that, we're going for a barbecue on Tuesday. Do you want to come for the barbecue? And then we're going to go bowling. Do you want to come bowling? And Johnny's just stood there. But curiously, you will hear ghostly voices and timing is everything. And here's Goblin, who I just mentioned, goblins, with Suspiria. And you'll hear these ghostly sort of moans and groans and wheezing, which evokes the witches from Suspiria, who are always wheezing and all that, like. And but Johnny himself won't answer at all. And you might hear him begin to wheeze with his asthma, and then he shut the things and like, oh, I'll leave your mail on the chest out here, but I'll see you soon, Johnny. Goodbye, Johnny. There's a reference there. That's a movie. Goodbye, Johnny. But and these peripheral characters, these supporting cast members, come into it and float about, but our central guy, Johnny, is going through an odyssey. But it's a very quiet one. You don't really hear what he's thinking. You don't get to know how he's interpreting all these bizarre events. But they're having a very negative effect on him. And a progressively more supernatural and ghostly effect. So again, you know, you can think Ash alone in the cabin. There is a shot at the end of a different dwelling place, which totally evokes the look of the cabin in the woods in Tennessee woods, where Ash and Co have been besieged by deadites, with the door and the two windows either side, almost like a face. And he's done that at the end of this as well. So you get that sort of parting shot. But you also get a fantastic graveyard set as well. I know Florian said to me, just don't mention something. And I'm not mentioning it. I hope you've paid attention, Florian. And you know I'm really trying to talk around something here. And I so want to, but no. Watch the film, and the way it transpires, there is a beautifully, incredible final shot, which is again I really can't say too much, but it's the beautiful blues, the gothic sort of structure to it all, and the rain. Now, what I will say about this enigmatic setting is that in the making of, he shows how they made it, and I was like, wow, but it looks genuine, and that's clever. You know, I know movies inside out, of course, you know, or rather, you know, I like to think I do, but really seeing how that shot was done, and I was like, really? That's how you did it? Christ almighty. Maybe I can make movies too. I can't make movies. Florian can make movies. And he can move on. I'm going to speak privately to him as well about this, because the scope for a bigger, wider world to the Johnny Lonesome, you know, mythos. You could have a prequel, you could have a sequel, you know, you could go places with this. And when you think about it, and I'm not trying to, you know, say, oh, we need more. Well, we need more from you, but whether you want to expand on this, that's entirely up to you. But you go to the likes of Sam Raimi with The Evil Dead, him and his mates, it's what Florian's done here. Him, close friends and associates have worked together to make this movie. Now, Sam Raimi and co made In the Woods, which was the essence of The Evil Dead. And because of that, they grew and then made The Evil Dead. And then obviously that grew some more. Very gruesome more. George Romero made very short movies, then got up to Night of the Living Dead, broke new ground, made his name. John Carpenter with Dark Star, David Cronenberg with Stereo and Crimes of the Future, the original Crimes of the Future, which he's redone, of course, now. Toby Hooper, before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, had little short movies as well. Wes Craven, before Last House on the Left, had porn and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, on a fledgling budget, you can make your name with something, get some acclaim, which you already have with all of these, you know, festivals that your film has been shown at. And the more exposure it's getting, the more prestige you are getting, Florian. So, you know, you could maximize on this and make more. Look at Terrifier. Oh my God, look at Terrifier from Terrifier 2 last year, which I've covered Terrifier and Terrifier 2. And I've forgotten the guy's name that made it, but it's a great name as well, like Damien something or other. Damien Satan, I think his name is something like that. And you know, Terrifier is one of the most outrageously nasty movies ever made, until they made Terrifier 2, which goes beyond. But the central figure in that, Art the Clown, was in a short movie and also featured in other short movies beforehand. So it's how, you know, you suddenly make your name and build and build and build. So who's to say that Johnny Lonesome won't become a new figurehead, you know, in the surreal, supernatural horror realms? I'm only saying. But you can do it, mate. You can do it. The music is great. I think only in a couple of days. Most of this was done in a couple of days, which is unbelievable. But Florian was playing double bass, and you had some incredible cymbal sort of scratchings and noises that they brought out. and a lovely sort of country and western twang to it, which only helps because that's the mindset that our Johnny boy is living in. But of course, that's all going to unravel on him, you know, because of things. There's elements of Hellraiser and Clive Barker, and We've Wailed. There's a slight clue there, but sorry about that. There's also Edgar Allan Poe and Lovecraft featuring it. And if you've got Lovecraft, you've got Ramsey Campbell, great British author, who lives just down the road from me, and who's another friend of mine, and I've talked about him before. But it's elements of that. Your central premise is very familiar from the likes of Ramsey Campbell's writings, but I won't divulge any further. And EC Comics and Amicus Movies as well. If you watch it, you'll see how this thing ends and how things can be passed, and the evil goes on, and what goes around will come around, you know. And that's very EC without being horribly lurid. This is not a gory film, folks. There's very limited special effects in this, but you do get some, and they're very used in refinement, but they suddenly come out of nowhere and like, you know, oh, that's good, yeah. And it combined with the sound design, yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, with all that pedigree, H.P. Lovecraft, Poe, Ramsey Campbell, the likes of Sam Raimi, Dario Argento. There's something to do with the fish as well. I don't know what it is. I just don't know. And does it play too much of a part to actually be a reference to anything? I don't know, because I was kicking myself, and I've watched it a few times, and I'm still trying to work out what's the thing with the fish. And I kept coming back to, is it in Nosferatu? And you know what? I don't know. I really don't know. But there's a fish, and you get a cat, which is going to get, the cat's going to get the fish, you know. And the trout. It's just like High Plains Drifter. Clint Eastwood's spooky western with a man coming back from the grave to get revenge. That's not the plot of Johnny Lonesome, by the way, but it bleeds into this sort of western milieu of the supernatural as well, you know, and the frontier. Although it's a modern day frontier for Johnny Lonesome. But see, the cat and the fish reminded me of the film Inferno. Dario Argento's Inferno is follow-up to Suspiria, with the cat that finds the mouse, and you see it devouring this mouse for real as well. And I just thought, these things must mean something, because you don't put them in, especially you've only got 11 minutes, and you're going to try to stamp your claim. It's a very singular vision that Florian has. It's not an obvious movie at all. You can see what's happening. You know where it's... Well, you don't know where it's going, but you know... You've seen this sort of thing before, but he throws you a few curveballs. And the fact that we go back to the car dealership, and you're like, well, something's going to happen here. What? No. You get wrong-footed. 11 minutes, you get a spellbinding story, and you get wrong-footed, and you get some twists, and you get a finale, and then you get something else. You know, how this thing could go on. It's great. He's seen all the films that we know and love, and he's brought so much of those into this scant 11 minutes where it's a short film. To write a short story is very difficult. People who write novels can't write short stories. I know. This is Keoma. One of those wonderful movies, spaghetti westerns, and crazy soundtracks ever. I beat James Herbert, the great celebrated author James Herbert, now late, great. The Rats, Lair, The Jonah, Creed, so many great movies, Magic Cottage, and He didn't write short stories, and he entered to see if he could do it, a short story competition. I beat him. And who was the guy that awarded the prize? Ramsey Campbell. But Ramsey didn't know it was me. It was all under a pseudonym, and it got me a publishing deal. So off the back of it, and he said, "Do you know who you've beaten?" And I was like, "This is Ramsey." He said, "You beat James Herbert." I said, "No, he didn't." He went, "Yes, you did." Nah, you didn't. I said, "This was crap." No, he didn't say it was crap. It might be better. So, but I've tried to write novels, and I've written them, but I've not had them published. But I know that a lot of novelists struggle to write short stories, and you've got people that specialise in just short stories. So to make a short movie, I can only think it's a similar thing. You've got so many ideas that you've got to cram in. I've only got a limited budget. I've only got a limited amount of time to make this. I can't employ everyone for too long. So I'm a limited use of locations, begging and borrowing, to try to use the place. So you've got to just cram it all in, and maybe you're going for like some kind of festival or competition. So you've got a time limit there. So it's clever. And you've got to be incisive, and he's doing his own editing as well, self-editing, as I know from the written word. Well, you know what I'm like. I'm not going to use one word when I can use an entire paragraph, an entire chapter, and that's just talking to you guys. I can't shut up. So, and I love what I say, and I say what I love. But when I'm writing as well, it's the same thing. So to go in and prune things out, and the best writers and the best filmmakers are also their own best editors, to know what's not necessary. So again, to Florian, you made a movie of 11 minutes and it told a story. You got insight into the character. You got enough of the backstory and the haunting quality to get your grey cells thinking, oh, what's going on there? And then the enigmatic, fatalistic, and then enigmatic finale. It's brilliant. Brilliant, mate. I raise my bottle to you, sir. And the fact that you brought westerns into it as well, another great thing. My God. We await the great horror western. Jonah Hex, in comic book form, is a great horror western. Jonah Hex as a movie ain't. But a horror western. Now I have dabbled with writing. I had not a novel, but not a short story. It was a novella called Jailhouse. I will intend to get that published, because I wrote that after I stupidly walked out of a 3-book deal, a 3-book contract. Idiot that I was, way back in 2000, when I was a complete head the ball, and so lost out there. But now I intend to pursue that again. And Jailhouse is written, but it was written years ago. Now I'll go into it with fresh eyes, and it's a lot easier going back years afterwards to take things out. Like filmmakers, you speak to like the likes of Joe Dante or John Carpenter, or even Scorsese, they'll say that when they watch their older movies back again nowadays, I'd remove that now. And yet they're probably the scenes that we all know and love. But you hear that so often, just is The Shining coming in again. Kubrick's probably the only person who would just do take after take after take after take after take after take. We could go on all day here, because he did, to the point where his cast were almost dying of exhaustion, like being danced to death. And so his films were perfect the way he wanted them at the end, that final cut. I know there's things he quibbled over still, but he got what he wanted out of everybody at the time. Whereas most filmmakers now go back and, well, I just took the best cut at the time. I could have done, the best take. I could have done more, but now thinking about it, I don't even need that scene at all. Funny how time changes everything. Time transforms things. With movies, with writing, with life itself. And Johnny Lonesome is about life, or rather a very disturbing portion of life. Something that we probably all go through as well. The loss of a parent, the loss of someone that you love, someone that you need, and where does it leave you? Well, in this case, in a haunted house, basically. But the psychological element to it is very prescient and very relevant. I know that because I live in a haunted house and I've lost both parents. And losing my mum last year did leave me in a bit of a strange place. And now that I've lost my job, I've left my job. I took redundancy. And I'm now in an even more curious place. So, the overlook doth beckon. But yeah, so Johnny Lonesome is fantastic. I'm going to put the links below so you can watch it on YouTube for free. You can watch the making of on YouTube for free. The film itself is subtitled in English, but the making of, is it? Oh yes, it is. It is subtitled in English, but and it only runs for about 9.5 minutes. So but it literally is just showing how Florian and co set up shots and got things together, and how the central actor playing Johnny, his name I've forgotten again. Cedric Cavatore or Cavatore. The dance sequence, you can see he's going a bit OTT in that making of, and it obviously, even though it's got to be a little bit crazy and chaotic when you watch the movie, but he has to be reined back in again because he's doing some all kind of crazy. He's just doing pure improv, but and it's great. It's great to see. That's the kind of insane creativity that you want, that passion, that enthusiasm, that excitement to do it. So I'll put the links, and I want to show you something else as well. Me swigging. Here's Johnny Lonesome soundtrack again. This is the laconic opening. It's just pure cowboy, isn't it? Reflective cowboy. He's going across the prairies, he's heading up to a ranch. He's a stranger in a strange town. He's sitting on the porch somewhere, or he's under the stars with a campfire going. That's that. But really, it's just him walking into, the car dealership, the forecourt where all the cars are. Which again, as I say, is this sort of, the way it's filmed, this sort of oval sort of environment. You get the dance in a second, but Florian is an artist as well, and he loves our main guy, Snake Plissken, and he sent me this along with the Blu-ray. He sent me this. Look at that. His initials are down there somewhere. FS. Florian Schafer. You can see what that is. That is Snake Plissken. That's my main man, Snake. Where is he? He's in the cockpit of the glider, the Gulffire. But he flew over Leningrad, so he knows how to get in quiet, And in that particular sequence there, the way the lighting he's put on that, the greenish glow on his face, the red sort of backlight on his hair, that's his hair there. It's all the electronic gizmos and gadgets in the cockpit of the Gulffire. And you've got Police Commissioner Bob Houck, played by Lee Van Cleef. Lee Van Cleef from Euro Westerns. It's all coming back round again. It's all circular or oval. And it's like, Plissken, what are you doing? he goes like, I'm playing with myself. I'm going in. Playing with myself. I'm going in. Look at that. Now that's done. Now I'm no artist. I've got no idea. I mean, my idea of painting from watching when I was scouting off school in the late 70s, early 80s, was watching Paint Along with Nancy Kaminsky, and she'd use a knife with oil paints, and I think that's, you'll let me know, that's oil painting, and you've either used a knife or you've used your fingers to do that. Yeah. Fingers again, and hands do creep into Johnny Lonesome like that, you know. So isn't that wonderful? Isn't that truly evocative as well? That's going up. Got to find space for it. I'll make space for it. Don't you worry about that. That's brilliant. So folks, please check out Johnny Lonesome. I've said a lot, and yet I've said nothing, hopefully. So 11 minutes long, and you're going to get a story, and you're going to get an enigmatic sort of surrealistic quality with a supernatural, ambience to it. It's great. Please give it a watch, share it out, show your friends, get this guy to make big movies. Come on. He's earned the right to do so. He's got the talent, he's got the eye. Cinematography is great. He's doing music, he's editing, he's producing, he's writing, he's directing. He's doing everything. For God's sake, it's a one-man show. This guy can do anything. He can be directing, editing, and painting at the same bloody time, And as we found out, he's been drinking whiskey as well. Florian, my mate. Cheers. So, please check it out. Subscribe to his channel as well and give him some love. Let's get Florian to Hollywood, Or, well, he's already out. What is it called? Holly Worms. He lives in Worms, Germany. So they have a Holly Worms festival, which I think is fantastic. But let's get him, moving up, the ranks. Get proper movies made, big movies made. He's got the talent, he's got the enthusiasm to do it. And he might even put me in a movie one day. Imagine that. Johnny Tartan. Kilt-Man Lonesome. I don't know. I'm sure there's a part for me out there somewhere. All of us who watch this channel, all of us are movie buffs. And we all have had dreams of making movies. Some want to be in movies, some want to write the movies, some want to compose for the movies, which I think is wonderful. So many people are into the movie soundtrack, which I'm genuinely, wowed by. And people want to direct movies or act in them. Now, for me, I've always, you want to be the star, you want to be the action hero, the romantic leading man. And then you look in the mirror and you go like, okay, maybe it's not going to happen, but I can be a stuntman, I've got the face for a stuntman, I can punch me again and again and again, But directing takes another league. A director doesn't often want to be in front of the camera, and yet so many actors, after learning their trade and, being in movies for a good few years, suddenly, right, well, I've learnt the ropes now. And there's so many of them that do this and then go and direct the movie themselves. Look at Mel Gibson. Acting, brilliant actor, and then turn to directing and won Oscars. Because he's fantastic. So, it can be done. It can be done. But me, I don't know. If I can't be the romantic action hero, and time's running out on that one, let's be honest, and the body can't compete either with the action or the romance. Of course it can. Of course it can. Whiskey-addled liver, be damned. I can outlast anyone. I'm a stallion. But directing, I've not took a shine to that. That's not the thing that I've wanted to do. Writing, yeah. Performing, yeah. But directing, that, as Florian will testify, even with a smaller crew, he's had to wield, that iron fist to get things done. Although if you look at the making of, everyone got on great, and it went very smoothly by the sound of things. So, but you move up and you get more people involved, it's going to get more unwieldy. So to be able to marshal that, you have to have many, many other people around you who you can trust, who take care of the production design, the art design. You can have your singular voice. Like, think of Guillermo del Toro, think of Ridley Scott, think of James Cameron. They have their singular vision and they do marshal enormous amounts of people around them who jump when they say jump and only come down when they say come down. But that's a gift as well. Not a particularly crowd-pleasing one, because they tend to be ogres and bastards, on set. But it's all to get the image on screen, the vision that you dream of up there. Florian's already done that. He's done that on the smaller level. Not even the first stepping stone. The first stepping stone is just they're playing around with action figures and maybe taking a few pictures of it. That's as far as I've aspired to. But he's moved on. He's made a movie. He's told a story. He's used actors. It's there. Fantastic. Mate, the only way is up. Come on now. We need your Evil Dead. The Germanic Evil Dead. There's plenty of scope there. Come on now. Plenty. Anyway, folks, have been always shall be Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this ever, explore and give other people a chance in between time. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all later, because I'm going to drink me some fire water and I'm going to do me some possessed line dancing. Y'all, yippee-ki-yay. And indeed, yeehaw.